Welcome to For the Record. I'm Dan Lieberman. Thanks for joining us on Law and Crime. I'd like to take a moment to discuss a different case, that of Pat North. She posed as a flute repair person, but would actually take her clients' flutes and pawn them. She was charged with stealing from her customers, some of whom she's known for decades. Law and Crime's Angenette Levy has been following this scandal since 2019, and she has more.
There is something wrong here. There is something wrong with the way this individual processes the world, thinks about the world.
Harsh words from the prosecutor for Pat North, a woman who repaired flutes for decades, but now admits pawning many of them for cash. Victims from across the country wrote to the judge. Chris Hawk was a longtime customer and found her flute, similar to this one, in a pawn shop.
I believe with all my heart that Pat North knew that what she did was illegal and unethical. I mean, you don't sell someone else's flute and pocket that money.
North said she took the flutes to pawn shops for safekeeping and blamed her poor health for her situation.
I could not keep up with the interest payments on the deposit loans. It never occurred to me that this would happen.
But a former employee said this had been going on well before any illnesses.
She did it to get the repair work, knowing that she could not meet the deadlines. She immediately charged the credit cards, whether or not she would fix it that week, that month, or even that year.
And North's former partner spoke of giving her money for years.
I was in a 38-year plus year relationship with Pat, which is characterized by a history of bullying and gaslighting. And I can't tell you the amount of deceit and betrayal I feel.
I'm here in regards to some musical instruments that were sent to you.
A customer from California hired a private investigator to track down her instruments.
I continued my investigation and located 8 other victims that had been defrauded by Ms. North and re-presented my case.
After more customers came forward, prosecutors filed charges, leading to her sentencing on a felony count.
There are victims whose lives have been destroyed because of this defendant.
And she ordered Pat North to spend about 5 years on community supervision, which is more formally or more regularly known as probation. She also has to repay that $90,000 and get some mental health treatment. So there is a lot going on with this case. Pat North is an interesting individual. She always has an answer for everything. So Dan, she's going to have a lot to answer for. She's supposed to be taking care of this, paying back about $90,000 to her customers.
One of the things, welcome to the show, Angenette. One of the things that struck me about this is just how personal instruments are to people, how emotional it is to have your instruments stolen. In one of those clips, we heard about someone hiring a private investigator to track down their instruments, and that was that video we saw at her door. Do we know anything about the motivations here? I mean, clearly the money, but it just seems like such an odd case. How did you even come onto it?
Well, you know, I was working at a station in Cincinnati when I got a call one day from a lady back in 2019, and she said, look, this lady won't return my instruments, and I've been trying to get a hold of her for some time. So it was very interesting. I started looking into it from there, and I did one story, and then all of a sudden I started getting emails and calls from other people who had sent instruments to her, some from across the country. She was a reputable flute repair technician at one time. She had been in business for about 40 years. So it's not like she didn't know what she was doing as far as repairing flutes goes. But at some point, and along this had apparently been happening years and years ago too. She would periodically keep people's instruments and not return them. She had been sued civilly in court. So it's a very odd case. And you're right, these instruments are very personal to the people, the musicians who own them. They are very, very personal to them. And a lot of them are worth a lot of money. Flutes aren't cheap. Some of them can cost $20,000 or so. And if you're a professional musician, that's a lot of money. And that comes to be really a part of you. So in one of her former employees, rather, I should say, she actually said that she believed that North was doing this to keep her business afloat. But the prosecutor told me when I asked him in court the other day, he said, we don't know what she was doing with the money.
It's interesting that the judge said, they said no to prison time because that's not going to help people get their instruments back. Instead, she's getting probation. She's going to have to get a job and repay the money that's lost. But in some of the cases, these instruments, as you say, have sentimental value. Is there any effort that's ongoing to try to get instruments back to the rightful owners?
It's interesting. She actually will, if she doesn't do what the judge ordered her to do, she will go to prison for 18 months. So she has to do what the judge told her to do when she's on probation. I know that there are police detectives who have gone to pawn shops with serial numbers and they've actually found some of the instruments, but there are some of the instruments that people will never get back because that process just hasn't turned up the missing flutes. So there has been work done to try to recover some of these. And I actually interviewed a young woman back in 2019 who called the police, gave the police her serial number. They called a pawn shop and they found it. And then she went and got her flute back. So it's, because they have to keep these records of things that they purchased. So it's been a really interesting story and a very strange story to cover.
A strange tale, but like you said, maybe some signs of hope there for people to get their stuff back. Angenette Levy, thanks so much.
All right, no problem.
Hi, this is Dan Abrams with exciting news for all of our Law and Crime followers on YouTube. You can now get the live Law and Crime Network with YouTube TV for all of your daily live trial coverage, legal news, expert analysis, and original true crime programs. Subscribe to YouTube TV today and then locate Law and Crime in the channel guide. And for only $1.99 a month, you can add the network to your bundle. Watch Law and Crime every day with YouTube TV. We put you in the jury box.